Good evening. Good evening. Look at that. All the buttons are working. Good evening. This is Lucy Cooper. I was going to say this is Lucy Cooper. My name is Lucy Cooper. I set myself a challenge. How many times could I say my own name before the start of the show? You're listening to ReCooper8 on 92.7 FM, your community access radio station. And my lovely friend and co-host is the ever fragrant, thank goodness, because it's a small room, Katie Abbott.
Hello.
Hello, Katie. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've just turned up my headphones, so now I don't sound like I'm in a bucket. Well, I sound like I'm in a slightly bigger bucket, so that's good. And also, in the studio, you can't see him yet, because, yes, this is radio with pictures, but you will as soon as he says his name, Andrew Jackman.
Good evening.
Hello. Don't be scared.
I'm not.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Great.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, you were meant to be here last month, but you had an injury. Injuries.
I did.
Were they art related?
Not art related. Didn't fall off a ladder.
Shame.
Didn't staple my hand.
Good.
No, that was football related. Soccer.
Right.
The people's game.
Yes.
Yes. Fell over on my own sort of natural courses. Maybe tripped up by someone. Who knows? Going for a header.
Well, you were actually in the pursuit of a goal.
No defending.
Oh, okay.
I would say.
Okay,
Not
yep.
good enough to be up front.
They keep you at the back.
Sorry. Keep me at the back.
Good on you.
Yes.
But you're all right now.
I'm fine now.
Good.
I've recuperated.
Now, nobody's ever done that. You are the
good.
first. 7 years this show's been going. It's taken ages.
And to think we were going to change the name.
No, it's had
How's that?
It's been endorsed now. It's great to have you on the show. Now, you have you're like a proper artist. It's almost almost a little bit nervous. And you have your show, unfortunately, has come to an end today.
It has.
So and that's what happens when you have a football injury. We miss you at the time that your show is actually happening. But it was because there's so much to talk about, Adrian. So I'm going to take it one step at a time, like they taught me at school. And tell me the name of the show again. Just
Minimal Wave Revisited. So
yeah. And Minimal Wave, now the original Minimal Wave, now was that grown out of your residency at the Tiley Cottage?
Yeah. So Tiley Cottage residency at the in Wanganui. So yeah, I mean when you write a proposal to become a resident, you have an intention, and whatever that intention you have at the original start does change, and so you have a sort of a strategy for going into making art and making the most of the environment. So it was the minimal music which was kind of in the background, which I sort of wanted to bring into my work, but it's pretty much how do you do that? You know, that's the question that I had to pose to myself. I like taking photographs. We all like taking photographs, eh? So as you do, you sort of become a bit of a tourist. So, you know, you go around and I actually bought a bike and I just rode around town, just taking in the environment through the camera, through the lens, and then processing these photos just as you do on screen. And while you're taking in the images and the environment, you start finding out more about the places and the spaces and the relevance of these places and spaces. So I wanted to make a connection. I'm not a photographer, I'm a painter, and I don't paint photorealistic paintings, but I do paint abstract paintings. So I wanted to take the colour from the photo. So what I did is I put the photo into Photoshop and drew the colour out, like particular colours that would kind of relate to the river or particular buildings and so forth. And I created a palette of colour. It was probably one of the first times I actually created a whole body of colours which kind of related to Wanganui. So, and then from there, I had a minimal coloured palette, and then from there was to find images to make that composition. So,
wow. And did the colour palette surprise you when you saw it kind of all laid out?
Yeah, it did actually. So, I mean, when I was a kid, on my mum's side, we had relatives that were in Wanganui. So, as you drove from Ratahi, before you descend down into the you descend down into the Parapara, and it's like one of those one of those catchphrases that children used to say, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" But from Raetihi to Whanganui, it's 90k of windy, treacherous, slippy road, and it sort of brought back all these kind of memories for me. And so as I was driving through the Parapara, which runs kind of next to the Whanganui River, you've got this, it's called papa clay, and it's what the Parapara Gorge is made of, and it's like a lime-based kind of clay. And so what I did is I grabbed a piece of this clay, I pulled over, and I grabbed some of this clay because there was like slips and stuff everywhere. And I thought, I'm going to use this colour as like the base for my palette. So what I did is I mixed sort of a grey, greeny, yellowy kind of pumicey kind of colour. And I used that and I tinted every colour. So it had this kind of grade of kind of tone. I know it sounds quite strange, but it was one of those active processes that painters do to get into the kind of mode where you're kind of thinking about, before the ideas come, you're just mixing and making paint and colour and then just applying it on paper and on canvas to try and get a bit of a feel for it. And then from there, you start looking at stories. And probably the most important, the thing is, Whanganui is a really kind of interesting town. They used to call it the Rhine of the South Pacific. It's a beautiful river, saltwater, freshwater kind of mixed river. There's a lot of history. And you can pick on any history relating to Whanganui. I decided to focus on the architecture of the city first and foremost. So looking at the Sargent Building, and
it's a beautiful building.
It's a beautiful building, Who designed it? Young architect who won a competition. He was 17, then he went off to World War I and died, unfortunately. But the building was constructed. He was looking at Greek architecture. It's got a beautiful parquet floor. It's based on like Greek temples and things like that. So beautiful building. And so from there was kind of points of reference, and then kind of finding more out about the architect as well. And then from there, Whanganui is quite lovely. There's so many buildings and such, and the way that they paint each building kind of like a different colour, so it kind of signifies the building, and some are in Art Deco periods and so forth. So there was kind of quite a lot to look at. So for everything that I was looking at, would create more and more kind of reference material that I could use. And that's one thing that's quite important about being an artist being selected for the residency. They really want you to delve into the history of Whanganui itself and come out the other end sort of with more knowledge that you can impart as well. And the residencies really kind of gave me kind of a benchmark and kind of a level towards just thinking about creating different palettes and spaces, and looking at certain types of content. So it's, when I put the paintings together, it's more up to the viewer to kind of solve the puzzle rather than me lay it all out for them.
Yep. Incredible. And am I right in thinking that during that residency you can also borrow other items from the collection?
Oh, yeah, that's cool, yeah. So I think what was really interesting is that I started looking at different objects, and I was going outside and looking at objects and such, but each artist is allowed to leave a remnant of themselves, like a piece of art that they've made, and they can leave it entirely cottage. And so there was an object that was made by Bronwyn Cornish, a ceramicist, and all the artists that had shown had been at Tyler Cottage and shown at the Sargent Gallery leave a piece of art which is from the suite of work that they exhibit. And so there was a work called the Tylee Temple, and it had this kind of like this it was unusual. It was like a little building. It was a temple made of ceramic clay, and on the front of it had this beautiful. It was like an owl, but it was carved, and I was quite taken by it. So I did some research and found out that this object was part of a pair of not the temple itself, but this carved piece that was on the front was actually a bookend. It was a carved bookend which had been gifted by a curator from Rotorua called John Perry. And if you ever get a chance, strongly advise, if you're ever in Auckland and you're just heading a little bit north, go up to Helensville, and he's got this curiosity He's been collecting like Pacific antiquity for a number of years, and you can go in there and have a look, and it's in an old movie theatre in the central part of Helensville. It's just fantastic, And
sounds cool.
Yeah, he loans out his pieces for different shows as well. So there was a lot of history connected to these bookends. So he stayed at Tiley Cottage, and he gifted the bookends as part of just a thank you. And then numerous other artists had then appropriated the images, and so my appropriation, Peter Perrier had taken a photograph of these bookends, and they were titled Tahirua 1 and 2, and then Bronwyn had done a cast of the bookends. And then was another guy called Dennis Knight Turner. He was another well-known New Zealand painter who appropriated the Māori motif into his work as well. So and it became kind of like the signature and final piece of the series of body of work. But I basically did my wife, fortunately, who's a graphic designer who helped me out at the time, she did a linear drawing of it, and I projected it up onto a canvas, and then painted this kind of overlapping structure, so it sort of looked like a wireframe of Bronwyn Cornish's work with this kind of palette of colour behind it. So it was kind of like a floating building.
Wow.
That's all I can say.
It sounds like the best time ever. I mean, how long were you on this residency? It sounds
What's
like
that?
you were there. How long were you there?
I wasn't there for very long. I really had to make the most of it,
Yeah.
to be honest, Lucy. I was only there for 2 months. We had a 2-year-old up in Auckland. So we came. So I went down for a while, and my wife and daughter came down for a while, and they kind of had a little bit of a holiday.
Yeah.
And I just sort of worked. It was quite funny, actually, because I was working on these very, very minimal kind of paintings, and they were very structured and very ordered, and la-di-da, and all the paint was over here, and the paper was there, and the pencils were there, and I'm doing this. Then comes the 2-year-old, and it's just chaos. It's chaos ensued. Things are on the floor, my toys are on the floor, talk to me, I want to watch this, I want to do this, let's go outside. And so what happened was that kind of chaos kind of structure then came there were drawings on the floor, and then I just kind of realised, hang on, I should just take a step back. Take a step back and just look what's in front of me, apart from the mess, and kind of strategise how I was going to make these pictures. So she was quite instrumental, I would say, in terms of like changing the way I kind of approached the residency in the end, and how I actually put the paintings together, because I ended up basically layering drawings together and then painting the painting out. So sometimes if you see the paintings, sometimes you see nothing, and sometimes you see something, and then sometimes you can see it all. And I think it's a little bit like life at the moment. You have moments of clarity and you have moments of life, and then we're overloaded with kind of technology and information and stuff like that now. But looking back in 2012, it's probably, I don't know if I even had a smartphone back then.
One of those old Nokia things.
Yeah.
So in that 2-month period, you produced how many works?
So I would have produced enough to make a start.
Yeah.
And got a handle on where I was going to go. I had all my resource material. I had the body of paint. I had about 12, 14, 15, 16 colours. I really had the structure, and I knew where I was going. So I went back home to Auckland, and I started working in my basement, and then we had a shared room upstairs, my wife's office and my studio. And I just painted for a period of probably 1 year, 1.5 year, about 8-9 months, and then just had a map of the gallery space, and then you just basically plot exactly where you're going to place the work. So yeah, and there was a bit of a development for me, because I wanted to try and push the boundaries a little bit in terms of like what I wanted to make and how I wanted to make it. So there were lots of formulas involved. So some paintings were so big, and then I'd step it up to double the size, and then the paintings kind of grew and grew and grew. Some works were on paper, some works were on panel, some works were on linen, some works could be easily kind of remade and remodelled. But yeah, I was wanted to have an overall kind of theme which had this minimal wave kind of feel, which is something that I've sort of carried on with my work in terms of like the musical kind of connection. And I think when I said in my catalogue, it was just, I don't know, it's just something to do with the generation, I suppose, we were brought up. I was a child of the 70s. So, we, TV shows, Doctor Who, and all those kind of Blake Seven, there was kind of this... Blake Seven, you know what it's like, eh?
Yeah.
It was kind of there was a positive, there was kind of a darkness, but there was this kind of like synthesizer kind of overload that was kind of it was kind of everywhere, wasn't it? You knew that something scary was going to happen because
totally. You knew when to get behind the sofa.
Other way, up would go the synthesizer sound. So I started doing quite a bit of research on it. On this kind of minimal music, and a lot of it was kind of outside the kind of spectrum of popular music, because there was a lot of popular music, wasn't it? Whereas a lot of this kind of like DIY, it was kind of like a post-punk kind of scene. But these people could afford to buy synthesizers and drum machines, and they could produce music in their own bedrooms. And some became became famous and rich. And, there's a few of them out there. But a lot of them just went on and kept making this kind of underground kind of music and recording things on tapes. And that's where they're kind of one of those other things that we all used to have, tape recorders and the swapping of tapes and so forth. And that kind of generation came out of that. Just been really enjoying learning more about minimal music. It's a whole genre. I could spend the rest of my life listening to it.
Well, it's a beautiful segue into a track, maybe.
Thank you very much.
What would you like to play? Because we don't have to stick to any order. We could go with Pocket Calculator first, or
I think we'll go Oppenheimer Analysis.
Okay.
I think it's pretty groovy.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Now, we have to do a bit of idle chit-chat while I work all the technology.
Yeah, that's fine.
Who are they and what's
Who
their...
are
Yeah,
they?
tell
They're
us
English.
a bit more about them.
They're English. The title of the album is called New Mexico, and the album came out in 1982.
Right.
So a lot of the music came out sort of mid to late 70s through to like mid 80s, and then was like a bit of a cut-off point. It sort of like stopped after that. But there's been kind of revival and remastering of a lot of these tracks that have come out. But a lot of their music and a lot of their ideas come out of like science fiction. Science fiction writing, science fiction movies, and so forth.
And this particular track looks like they've taken inspiration from the Atomic Age? Or?
Yeah, exactly, from the Atomic Age.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Radiance?
Radiance.
Awesome.
Awesome.
think they're done. I think they're done. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very much. Oppenheimer.
Analysis.
Radiance. Radiance. And that was the 1985 remix, but it's very, very atmospheric of that age.
Oh, it's quite surreal, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
It does set a tone, doesn't it? What does it sort of do? What would you be wearing?
Oh,
what would you be wearing in 1982? Would it be? Let's have a think.
Well, do you know what? It would
Overalls.
Overalls, definitely. But also, what I'm thinking is that those
Kung Fu shoes.
Kung Fu shoes.
Yeah,
oh,
they were big,
yeah, totally. They were big, weren't they? Like soft shoe shuffle kind of shoes, like
Kung Fu, proper Kung Fu shoes. Do you
Cargo
remember?
Pants.
Yeah.
For me, I'd say.
What about slightly high waisted?
High waisted cargo pants with
and done up
with
top button.
with a pink t-shirt, maybe. I don't know.
But I do think that they, like in the video for that track, you know, in your mind, it would be those young people in the overalls with their kung fu
with the glasses,
shoes,
with the slits on them, like very.
But also watching,
Venetian
you know,
blinds.
the older generation go about their daily tasks.
Yeah,
looking at them.
looking
at them, observing.
Yeah, what are you up to?
Wow. Welcome back. This is ReCooper8. You've entered a slightly trippy phase. The guest is Adrian Jackman, whose show has recently finished. I'm so sorry to tell you, at Aratoy. But while we were listening to that fabulous music, we also said some amazing things we're going to try and recreate, because we got to talking about colour. Katie, over to you. You look bursting with a question. Can you remember what it was?
I can't actually now. You put me on the spot.
I think we were talking about archiving the colour.
That's right.
Because, you know, you'd gone to all that effort to create this colour palette, and then archiving the colour.
Yes.
And you were... I'll tell you what you said.
That's okay. I think you know, you go through phases, and I think the colour kind of sets a mode.
Yes.
Or a tone, doesn't it, to where you are and the spaces that you're in. And I suppose when we need to talk about colour, we need to talk about the Wairarapa light.
Isn't it delicious?
I can't help not talking about it.
No.
I thought if I could take up being a cloud painter.
Couldn't
it? Because you get that late evening light, and it is, you know, lots of people I talk to, it's so clear, isn't it? It's so crystal clear. And then you get those purpley, pinky, orangey, yellowy kind of skies. I saw on your Instagram you really like that face.
I did.
Didn't you?
Yes, I did. And I see you have a couple of cloud photos on there.
I do.
But don't you think that at this time of year, the sky seems so much closer to the earth? You know, like the clouds are right there, and they're big and they're bold and they're incredible.
It's an epic kind of landscape, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. And the early morning light is also fabulous.
And the Wairarapa has the best examples I've seen of, you know, I think they call it in photographic terms as evangelical light.
Sure.
You know, when the light comes through in shafts through during a rainstorm or after a rainstorm, and it's pinpointing particular areas of the landscape, but like a shaft through the clouds.
Yeah. And you can hear the cherubim and the seraphim.
Yes.
Just kind of singing the Holy Holies.
Speaking of light and colour, so the other week I had to help the Masterton Camera Club do a pre-selection for their upcoming photographic show, which is in...
The Wairarapa Camera Club?
The Masterton Camera Club.
Is there a separate one?
No,
is that you?
I think that's us lot, isn't it? Who are going to be exhibiting?
Yeah, King Street. Yeah.
King Street.
Not King Street, sorry, what am I saying?
No, it's fine.
In the Wesley Wing at Aratoy. King Street's coming up next. And we'll talk about that later too, won't we?
So it's the Wairarapa Camera Club,
so you're
but they're
talking
based
with
in
Tim.
Marsden.
I was talking of Tim McCann.
Yeah.
So very difficult task.
Was it?
Oh my gosh.
Because there's like 80 were submitted, weren't they?
85 more, 82, I think.
Okay.
And then I think we're getting a selection for 42. Ooh, it was a bit like that, and just so many amazing landscapes.
Yeah.
How can you have one landscape against another landscape and say which one's better?
Yeah.
They've got all the right kind of settings. They've photographed at the right time. We're getting reflection. We're getting kind of like the Tauraruas. We're getting clouds. We're getting all manner of things going on there.
Yeah.
So how can you pick one over the other? It was just really, really difficult. We had to come down to technical.
Right, okay.
Technical in the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we didn't want to have too much of the same. And there wasn't actually a lot of portraiture we found as well. There were so few portraits. I think there might have been 1, 2, 3. There were only 4.
Wow. I think they've got not the next competition at the Wairarapa Camera Cup, but the one after. I think that is portraiture. So maybe sometimes do you know what I find is I forget what I can take photographs of. I know that sounds really weird, but like I'll what was that funny noise? Did you hear that?
No.
Skype. Oh, okay, good. I'll get into a groove of photographing certain things and kind of get really taken with a particular shape.
Yep.
And then I'll see somebody else's photograph and go, oh, of course, there's all that other stuff I could be totally photographing too.
Yeah.
Bounding off like a puppy into the field. But that's exciting that they've now made that selection.
Yeah, made a selection.
Good
so
stuff.
I think they'll be getting off and getting the frames. Ordering the frames.
Yeah, it's a big job.
Good to go.
Yeah,
big
totally.
job. And he does all the printing too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So cool.
Now, he is a colour geek, Tim McMahon.
Yeah.
Is it McMahon?
McMahon.
Yeah. He is a real colour geek. If you want to talk about colour, which you
Talk
probably
to Tim.
talk to Tim.
Talk to Tim.
But
Colour.
In the let's bring us back on track. You were talking about the Pantone colours and the music break.
Yeah.
Tell us, is that based on your next body of work?
Next series, it's an ongoing kind of thing. So where do you go after your Wanganui palette? But you look at, I can do screen grabs and things like that, and I do use a lot of screen grabs because that's where a lot of my colours do come from. I don't sort of go out there and photograph a lot from nature. It's a bit of a balancing act, really, because it can be really anything. Anything goes. And once you put it through the kind of filter, you just grab it, and then once you've printed, what I do is once I've taken the photograph, I use the eyedropper in Photoshop and I pull the colour out, and then I go and get it printed in colour as a photo. So it's just a flat photo, and then from there I've got these, A4 photos, and then from there it's how to make the colour, and that's kind of like the hands-on taking the tubs of paint, and then it's quite a nice kind of lovely kind of process, really. It's just the pure mixing and the pure enjoyment of just seeing the colour come alive, really. So Pantone, Pantone's sort of, they do all the colour grading, and they're sort of the go-to place for like a print standard. So it's found in the printing industry, the Pantone range of colours. Without saying too much about it, they do break the colours down. So you can actually physically break the colour down to black, to cyan, yellow, magenta, and so forth. But I've been quite quietly kind of interested in what it is and what draws us to colour, and who makes these kind of selections of colour for us. Who comes up with these palettes of colour, these new colours, and they say the new colour for 2018 is blue or 2019 is red. And then all of a sudden, all the wallpaper's red. Everyone's wearing red hats.
Yeah.
It's all very, very strange. And I suppose it's got a lot to do with, is it the fashion industry? What is it? What draws us to want new colour? But I suppose we need colour in our life, really. Otherwise, life would be very, very bland. So I kind of follow these. I go with a bit of a hunch sometimes, So you go to the Pantone website, you find out what their colours are, and you can go back and track back through 4 or 5 years of different colours, and then once you make a decision to do that and you build this palette of colour. What I have noticed recently is the colour palette is very, very bright. It's very, very light, and it's very kind of playful. It's not dark. It's not kind of subdued, and I kind of like that, eh? So the colours that we've been wearing, and it's in our environment, has been kind of lively. Yeah, I kind of like that.
Which is a lovely antidote to the pressures that we face as a species. I think every show I kind of go into this gloomy track of it's all going to end. But, we do need we need that kind of antidote to the heaving of some of the things we face. Would you think?
I can totally agree. I think being a painter, it's like when you go into the art shop, it's like being in a lolly shop.
Yeah, God,
you go in there and you go, I can't afford all that, but I can. But if I slowly buy a few colours, then I can, basically form a colour. But going into an art shop really makes you feel pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of got that pureness, and it's got that kind of enjoyment, and there's that kind
potential.
It's got potential, and it's got that art craft. You can make anything, can't you?
Yeah.
And I really love that, and I love the simplicity of it as well. And that's why I probably like being a painter, because I like having, to a degree, those kind of restrictions on you. If I had all the money in the world, what would you make? Would you make a Damien Hirst? Do a Damien Hirst? Would you do a formaldehyde shark? I don't know. Maybe I would. maybe I wouldn't. But I kind of like, you know, just the simplicity of a stretch canvas, you know, and just primitive tools, the old brush and drawing it up and just coming up with something new every time, you know, something unique. So, you know, we live in a world of constant change, don't we? You know, and so I was thinking back, I gave a talk to Solway Primary and I showed, so the body of work, Minimal Wave, was work from 2007 to 2016. I thought, okay, when I was making that work in 2007, I didn't have a smartphone. I had a flip phone. I think there was a basic kind of internet on there, but just in that 10-year period or so forth, a lot has changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I've always tried to, in some form, talk about technology and talk about the age we kind of live in, but try and talk about it as a painter, you know, in some form, and talk about, I don't know, spaces and places. It's hard to say, really. So early works, post works, were sort of looking at, before I moved on to these more minimal kind of palettes, I was looking at the Earth from space, using Google Earth, and looking at sites that you really can't look at anymore. They get pixelated over. You're not allowed to go to Tiananmen Square, really, can't you? You can't go. You can't really go to Chernobyl. You can't sort of go to Moscow and look at the Kremlin. You can't really do those sorts of things. So a lot of those kind of paintings were kind of early kind of sites, kind of looking down on buildings and spaces and places and letting people kind of work out what they are.
And which is interesting compared to that kind of Google Earth view to some of the works that's in the Minimal Wave, which are very kind of domestic images, aren't they?
Yeah.
And familiar objects.
Yeah, more familiar objects as well. And I think, I suppose when it comes to looking at and trying to make paintings, I just trying to pare everything back, you know, looking at images like from mail, newspaper mail circulars that come in your mailbox, you know, things that are, you know, like the Bunnings. I think the Bunnings catalogue's one of my favourite newspapers to look at, you know, because
they do the pencil drawing outlines of the product.
Well, it's more than that. I think because from what I've kind of worked out, you know, someone has to take a photograph of that chair.
Yeah.
And then that chair...
take away the colour of it.
Then someone has to take away the colour, and then someone has to render that as an outline for me. To use. And I say, thank you very much. And then what I do is I take that image of that little chair, and then I scan it, and then I can put it through my own piece of software, and then I've got a chair. I've got a chair that I can use and I can mould and meld to whatever. I can stretch the chair, I can do whatever I like with the chair. So I basically create this kind of catalogue of kind of like simple kind of ready-made objects, because it's sort of all about a kind of throwaway society, isn't it? Plastic chairs, you know, and so forth. So I'm kind of enjoying that kind of clutter that sort of takes up our world. We're constantly on the search for another plastic chair because one leg's broken on the other one, you know. So, you know, it's and it's also the way of putting it together. I sort of kind of like that kind of DIY kind of aesthetic, you know. Nothing's ever quite finished to a degree, and just putting things together for people to it's sort of, I sort of treat the canvas overall as like a window, really, and I throw things into it. There's things that you can see, things that you can't see. And if you don't like the objects there, you can't see the objects, you can just enjoy the colour and the palette. You know?
I mean, it doesn't ever. It does. You're like a magpie in that. You know, everything you look at, everything you see,
pretty
everything
eclectic.
Totally. So, do you ever suffer from a lack of inspiration ever, or are you kind of very lucky in the sense that because you're just open to?
I think when I finished art school, I was kind of tired. I'd kind of had enough for a long period of time, and I was really quite over making work, and I was flatting with a friend, flatting in Mount Eden, and he didn't care what the state of the flat was, and I didn't really care either. But I'd been collecting lots and lots of stuff, like you know, we all had photocopy cards. We'd all get our books out of the library. We'd put them on the photocopier. We'd photocopy them. There's 20 cents gone, another 20 cents. So I had boxes and boxes full. So I spent a couple of years actually just making workbooks. And from there, I've got, I think, about 50, 60 different workbooks. So it's the whole buying a ring bind of workbook, turning a page, finding an image, cutting it out, gluing it in, finding something else that's kind of similar, And also making a note, that's the date, and putting a name next to it or putting a little sort of a title. So what I sort of thought, I was kind of future-proofing the idea. If I found if I wanted my own kind of research and material, I knew that I'd have it at my side at any time. Yeah. So what I've done is that every year I make 2 books a year, 2 workbooks a year, gone back to the whole process. So, and then from there, I also do some just basic quick sketches like something there, make a note of it, make a point of reference. And so when I'm getting ready to make a painting, I can open up a book from 2007, 2014, turn the pages, and like each page, it's sort of like that page, and I go, these 3 or 4 images are kind of working quite well together. So I make a kind of casual kind of selection without going and looking for any more. I can sort of work within the kind of frame that I've sort of developed. I've got a couple of workbooks that were on show. I didn't actually have them on show, but I just showed a couple of examples that were in one of the cases. Wow. Yeah, so it's sort of a running kind of story that I have with myself. So when I'm not wanting to make any work, I start looking for more images to put in the books.
Got it. Yeah.
And they're just simple things, just simple kind of ideas. And what was really interesting, because there was something on the news last night, the Brooklyn Library will accept artist workbooks from anywhere in the world.
I know, yes.
That was on last night, so you can submit your workbook to the library.
You going to?
You must.
Might do.
I think you should.
Why not?
Yeah.
Isn't that a cool thing?
That's very cool.
So people can go into the library and sit down and just look at artists' workbooks.
Yeah.
Because, I suppose to a degree they're works in their own right, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of care and attention that goes into this book.
Yeah.
And it's photos right through to beautiful illustrations.
Especially posthumously for artists, like all the preparation sketches for Rick Angus and stuff are selling like gangbusters.
Yeah, and also
when there's no other works
I know.
left,
And those are the things that you probably see on Antiques Roadshow. Oh, I found an old drawing by Beatrix Potter. That's £90,000. I'm not kidding. That's what they found. Yeah. Something weird like that, and they can be treated like gold, and they're just.
Can I ask you a question on style? So
what you're going to say? Can I ask you a personal question? Can I?
That's later. We go to the third hour. But I was struck when I went to see Minimal Wave Revisited that there was that kind of minimalism and that kind of bold palette, and then there was one of my particular favourites, Detail, which was a much looser. Kind of verdant kind of scene, and it struck me and it's next to another one, and you can see all this on your website, which is adrianjackman.com, and it was next to Oberheim Matrix, which is a kind of minimalist kind of and it struck me that they are 2 quite different styles. Are they from 2 different periods? How is that? What's going on?
What's going on?
Explain yourself, Jackman.
So I think when I decided to leave my full-time job, I asked my wife if I could become a full-time artist, and we were married at the time.
What job were you doing?
I was working at an art shop, and
for the discount.
Of course. Well, God, that's where your money went. All the art supplies would come in and the boss would go, look what I've got, a new brush.
You'd be rubbing your hands behind the counter.
It's only $50. Put it on the tick. Still got that brush, though. It was worth it. I loved working in art supplies. Loved meeting lots and lots of artists, and just the daily, it was just so much fun. I really enjoyed it. But it just got to a point where I had sold the same brush like 150 times to the same people, and sort of given the same kind of spiel. And there was a little bit of flexibility. So after a day's working in the shop, I'd totter down to my studio and paint. But what I was finding is I was painting successive kind of paintings, one after the other, and I couldn't get a footing on where I was going, because I'd go back and put all my energy back into my into the people coming to the shop. I spent all my day, and at the end of the day, I was quite tired, and so I said to my wife, can I sort of have a little bit of a break? and life goes on really because bills still need to be paid and things like that. But it was kind of like a high risk strategy, stopping work. But strangely enough, a lot of things kind of happened in a kind of serendipitous way, which allowed me to still make work but not work for someone. So we both were working for other people, and we set up a little bit of an art graphic kind of company kind of thing, or a company that allowed us to put money in too, and GST, the whole tax thing. So it was a brave new world for us. And so where was I? So what I decided to do was to put forward proposals to have shows at public art galleries. And so I rang up Lopdale House, which is now Turu in West Auckland, and I said, I'd like to have a show there. And most people go, no, you're not going to have a show there. You're not. Who are you? We don't know who you are. But I was very kind of persuasive. And I said, this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do these large map paintings, and I'm going to do this, and just sort of wrote the outline of it. I had a good friend who was a good writer at the time. He helped me sort of develop a kind of approach. So the painting detail was from a series of works called Mind the Gap. I had a studio opposite the train station, so it was always like, when the train came in, it said, mind the gap between the platform and the train. So I thought Mind the Gap was quite a nice pun, really, in terms of how we look at the Earth from space. And I thought, I'd like to paint expressionistic kind of landscape paintings like I was in a space capsule, gestural kind of landscape painting. So we'd moved into quite a large kind of like warehouse space above a bakery in Kingsland, and it was quite a large space, massive walls, and I thought, I can do this. I'm gonna have one chance of this. I'm gonna do some really large works. The problem with large works is keeping the large works after you've had the show, and I was quite lucky that works. I was all wrapped up and all that. So it was the second time it's been shown since the show at Turu back in 2009.
Wow.
So it was a conversation. We're talking about the landscape and talking about the environment and talking about man versus nature. So I sort of had the Google Earth map. The Google Earth painting on the left side, and on the opposite side was this mound of tyres on the right side. So there was a bit of a conversation between the what was happening and the end product, really. And it was my first kind of foray into kind of like solo show, and then from there was more of was pretty much making a decision to just have project-based shows and kind of develop my portfolio and CV, which wasn't so kind of aligned with dealer-run shows, which was making art to sell. And that sort of gave me the foothold into putting forward my proposal for Tidy Cottage back in 2011 for 2012. So it had been like 4 years from that start point to that other point. So, and just spending a lot of time just getting, because it's quite a strange thing, being in the studio and painting when everyone else is going off to work. You have sort of riddled with guilt. I should be at work, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But once you kind of get over that kind of thing and you get back into what you want to do and get your attention and get your focus in, it sort of starts fitting into place, really.
And you haven't looked back?
I don't think so.
No.
I'm sort of a bit of a. I just find it's sort of a wonderful kind of journey, and I've kind of met lots and lots of interesting people along the way. Really.
Yeah.
As you do.
What prompted the move to the Wairarapa, apart from the light? Which, because we've got the best light.
I can't mention Dame Robin White's name again, but I will mention her name again because she's so cool. So it was the after function. So the Kermadec show had opened at the same time as my show at the Sergeant, and so everyone was all together milling around, having drinks at a house and stuff like that. And she said, "Well, blah 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 blah. Marston's got an amazing art community. It's an hour and a bit drive from Wellington." And so my wife and I, we kind of ruminated over the idea. We were living in Auckland, and it was. we just started talking about it to our friends and family members as well. And a lot of my wife's friends live in Wellington. We didn't see them that much. We're seeing them a lot more now, which is great. Good for her, great for me. And relatives have moved down as well. But it's amazing, isn't it? You start talking about it and you just start gravitating towards it as well, don't you? It's a mental thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just sort of said, this is what we're going to do. And as soon as I said that to my wife, and she mentioned it to her mum, she said, we're going to move as well. We're going as well. So they moved 10 days after us.
Wow.
So this is our third winter here. So
Carterton as well?
No, Greytown. Yeah, so they love it. We've moved to a better climate, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Wellington, Auckland, what am I saying? Auckland, they've had some terrible weather lately. So we're going up for school holidays to catch up with some friends and that. But yeah, it's been really, really great. It's been really great, apart from having to constantly source firewood.
Oh, that's fine.
That's an ongoing thing.
You could do a whole show
What
on
is
firewood and its uses.
Firewood and ants. Who's got ant problems at the moment?
No.
Oh, don't make it just be me. Come on. They're just coming indoors. They're all...
No, I think it's
They're hungry.
Firewood. Wasps and firewood.
Oh, what about those little cockroaches and firewood? The outdoor cockroaches? Is it just me again?
No, it's Gisborne Farm cockroaches. Yeah, they're epic. They're supersized, aren't they?
Yeah, they're supersized and they're fast when they want to be. Like as soon as you know that they've seen you, or vice versa.
It's crazy
they're
days.
off.
Crazy days.
So you're here and you're the exhibitions coordinator at Aratoy.
Yep.
That's a part-time post because you're all part-time at Aratoy.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
right.
incredible because you all seem to be all there all the time. So
when we're doing a changeover, we're all there, but when we're
yeah.
not, we're sort of just working towards the next project because there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 galleries, 3 spaces. 4 spaces. 4 spaces plus the foyer, that could be 5. 5 spaces. So lots of spaces and sort of a rotation of exhibitions. Some are longer, some are shorter. Most of them are about 6 weeks. Main gallery can be a lot longer. There's a lot of preparation and, we put best foot forward every time. And, try to put on the best show we possibly can as well.
And it is an incredible resource, isn't it, that we have on our doorstep.
It is.
Now,
you've mentioned the Wairarapa Camera Club's amazing show, which will be coming out later in the year. But before that, it's King Street. And
That's right.
Madeline Slavic, who is your communications and also just a lovely lady, poet and the rest of it, she sent us a long email with 7 in bold, capital letters,
I'm going to
events.
jump straight to number 2.
Do. Let's all turn to page 2 on our pack.
Here we go. King Street Artworks 21st Annual Exhibition.
21st?
21st, 21 years.
That's incredible.
So it's brilliant. So that's opening this Friday, 5:30 p.m. That's Friday the 22nd. So 150 artworks.
That's a lot of art.
There's a lot of art.
Wow.
So we've got everything from paintings to ceramics, works on paper, to some life-sized mannequin with a robot dog as well. So it's going to be really cool.
Very cool. Is that in the main gallery? Did you?
No, it's in the Wesley wing, Ralph
okay. Wow.
as well. So that's I'll be setting that up this week.
Good on you.
And I've got a few ideas.
Yep.
On how to present it. Always lots of fun and a really fantastic turnout. So there'll be lots and lots of sales as well. So
brilliant.
Really, really cool. What would you like to mention? Something else.
I quite like the sound of these
Fab Labs.
Yeah, workshops for grown-ups. I like any title with the word grown-up in it.
For grown-ups.
So this is Designer Cotton Tote Bag. Is that the one? Yeah. Join the Fab Lab crew. But now because that kind of went quiet, the Fab Lab, but they seem to be all around us again, the Fab Lab in Marston.
They're amazing.
Is that the 3D printing
The 3D printing people.
Yeah. And does Aratoy have quite a bit to do with Fab Lab?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yeah,
right.
off and on.
Right.
Yeah. When they need us and when we need them.
Yeah, fabulous resource.
Both really. But sort of untapped resource, shall we say. Very knowledgeable people in that area of 3D printing. In all areas, 2D, 3D, they've got all the machines.
Yeah.
And all the knowledge. It's really up to you what you'd like to do. Come up with something. I was talking to John. He works there. He's great. And he was talking about bespoke sort of 3D printed furniture. There's a lot of they call it open source sort of files. If you want a chair for free,
yeah,
and you can just pick up the file, put it in the computer, print it out as a chair
That's
and
brilliant,
wood.
isn't it?
Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be
You
amazing.
don't have to go to the shop.
No.
That'd
But
be
those
cool.
Bring your
Bunnings
own chairs.
catalogues, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Maybe we should get Fab Lab on.
I think we should.
Yeah, so you could give us the name, John's details.
Yeah, I
could
can
do
do
this all
that.
live on air. We're going to call him. That'd be great. We'll have him on next month. That'd be lovely.
It sounds like they're coming into their own because school holidays are approaching us with massive red warning lights, and
Yes.
it looks like they've got a school holiday program at Arotoa as well.
Good.
Yeah, that's running from July the 17th to the 19th, so
Wonderful.
that's cool.
And you can create your own portrait.
That sounds great, doesn't it?
It does. Explore collage. I
Yeah,
love collage.
we love collage.
And silhouettes, and use the heat press vinyl machine with
stop
Fab Lab crew.
Yeah, and they're going to be looking at the subject will be Wayne Yule, so he's on in the main gallery.
Oh,
Strangely
wonderful.
Familiar
That is a
Portraits,
great
which is
one.
quite cool, isn't it? So be photographing yourself, wouldn't you? So there'd be this
Yeah.
kind of outline overlaying.
And kids will really go for that. The
So
whole
vain.
It's poppy. It's poppy.
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 That's right. And then every Tuesday night during school terms, what's this? At these weekly interactive improvised musical workshops, participants can enjoy the magic of music in a unique way. Take a breath. Not just as an audience member, not just as a performer, but I give you, ladies and gentlemen, but as a co-creator.
That's great, isn't it?
I've seen a video as well on
Yes.
on the
Yeah.
Facebook page.
Brought to you by Jonas, the musician and music therapist. He's epic, isn't
I
he?
was reading about him. He's from
He's from
Czechoslovakia? Yeah.
Should we
Okay.
say?
yeah, and is like a multi-instrumentalist
Oh,
dude
cool.
who,
So clever.
but does music therapy as well.
Does music therapy as well.
Nice.
We should get him on as well.
Totally.
think
He
so.
sounds
Well,
like he'd be
so
fun.
Fab Lab and this lovely young man,
Jonas.
Jonas.
And if you are going to talk
Jonas.
about music
Jonas.
therapists, you've got to move on to Live at Arotoa.
Sarah Dill.
and Jan
Jean.
Lindsay.
Yeah,
So that's
yes.
two artists from they're two musicians actually from the New Zealand Pacific Studio. Sarah's a singer-songwriter and a music therapist for 20 years. And Jan is a music composer and teacher. So there you go. And she will compose 5 original tracks, will be performed and recorded in the Wairarapa.
Oh, wow.
And that's a $10
That's not bad,
ticket
is it?
and also,
$10 for a
yeah,
night out like
easy.
that. And I wonder what the collective noun is for a bunch of music therapists. That's all. I just want to know. I hope the internet can provide the answer there. And there are a few other things. We might as well go through the whole list, eh?
While we're here.
Number one was...
up the one. That's very important.
Yeah.
You can give that one.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
okay.
possible.
Well, we could take a sentence each. So a free program. This is the Mahi Toi Education Program, terms 2 and 3. A free program Tuesday through to Thursdays during terms 2 and 3. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Choose one of 5 topics: tukutuku, poi, korowai, huia, or portraits. The 75-minute program includes hands-on activity, stories linked to museum collection, and follow-on activities. You can take.
Supported by Masterton Trust, Lands Trust, and TG McCarthy Trust. Schools, centres organise own transportation. For further information, contact arotoa.org.nz.
Brilliant.
I can tell you what it is.
Can you?
It's a cacophony.
Oh, wow.
We should have known that.
Did you just look that up?
Yeah.
Cacophony.
Total
It does
sense.
make sense.
A cacophony of musical therapists.
Oh, brilliant. I feel happy now.
Over the moon.
Yeah.
I do too. Same feeling of relief.
It is. We've solved that puzzle, haven't we?
Wow,
So we
so
can
Arotoa is
thank
action-packed.
Madeline for that, can't we?
We can. For this list,
For
this
that list.
incredible list. Thank you,
Yes.
Madeline. We haven't had Madeline on the show for a while, and she's just magic, communications manager. So tomorrow you'll be taking down your own show.
Taking down
How
my
does
own
that
show.
feel?
Little sad.
Yeah.
Might leave one up in the corner.
No, I think we've got to move. I think with all things we've got to move on. Yeah, moving on.
And are you working on something at the
I
moment of your
am
own?
secret. No,
It's a secret.
No, I just potter away in my studio. Yeah, I just it's working in the garage in the middle of winter. You slow down, don't you? You know,
hibernation.
I'd rather be inside by the fire.
Yeah. Can you not
Drinking
make
some
that happen?
cocoa.
Yeah.
But no, I'm outside with 10 layers, woolly hat, gloves,
I think you should just do concentrated work booking, like
while I'm
Pritt
inside.
stick, Bunnings catalogue. And a couple
I'm
of
away.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, I'm working on a couple of big paintings at the moment.
Oh, good on
So
you.
really excited about that.
What I mean, we've got to finish soon. But in terms of the cold and working, obviously you feel the effects of the cold. But does paint act differently in the cold? And are you struggling with your materials?
I'm not struggling with my
That's my personal question.
I'm not struggling with my materials at all. Well, all I can say is when we moved to the Wairarapa, the paint was drying out.
Oh.
So I bought a fridge, followed by another fridge.
For busies.
Followed by another fridge, which doesn't work, which I keep my workbooks in. It's very strange. So I've bought a lot of fridges.
Yeah.
And I keep all my paint in the fridge in the middle of summer because otherwise it would just basically be useless really in the matter of minutes.
Wow.
Because I think in the middle of summer, I'd say the Skyline Garage would be around about 42 degrees by 11 o'clock, even with a hat on. And so you've got to sort of do gentleman hours. So it's around about 6 o'clock. You could sort of venture back in there till about 11. It's quite balmy till about 11, 12 o'clock at night. But in the middle of winter, during the day, it's in the morning. It's around about sort of 10 o'clock in the morning. It's quite nice. But I try to work in the morning in the studio up till pick-up time, pick the daughter up from school. And then I've got another easel inside. That's why I paint inside as well at night.
Great.
So that's pretty much it, really. Lots of fun.
Awesome.
Yes.
It's like you never rest. Would you do any sleeping?
No. It's like being possessed or something, isn't it? Like I talk to a lot of artists, and they don't kind of stop not thinking about making work, and when they're not making work, they give themselves kind of like a bit of a hard time, because it's a bit of a race against time, really, isn't it? With making art, it's just a constant. The need to finish the painting to make another painting. And during, it's all about, I'm halfway through this painting, I think I might have to stretch another painting. Get another canvas, get it drawn up. I think I should do that, I say to myself. And sometimes, and then while you're stretching the canvas up, while you're starting to repair it, magically the other painting kind of finishes itself. And then you move on to the next work. And you wrap it up. After you've varnished it, sign it, put the date on it, and put it away. Well, catalogue it first, make sure you've catalogued it. And it's just a way of just getting on to making a body of work, because, for every show that you make, you need about 10 paintings, of different sizes and shapes and colours and, to fit, spaces within the gallery. And so, you plot for every year. You finished your show, you have a break, and then, your art gallery would call you up and say, when would you like to have another show? Well, you say not tomorrow. You can say next year, round about June. So you've got 12 months. And so if you make a calculation, 12 months, take into account that you're going to have a holiday, let's say you have the school holidays off and so forth, then you pretty much have to produce a painting a month.
Right.
And that's kind of like the ongoing cycle. So, and you want to have a few, like teachers and past tutors have said to me in the past, it's good to have paintings in stock, because you never know, someone might come and say, oh, I need to work for this or I need to work for that. So, yeah, you're kind of on the go all the time, but it's kind of fun as well.
Oh, it sounds tremendous. Good on you. Glad you live here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Auckland. Awesome. Well, Adrian, it's been a real pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you very much.
You can come on any time, eh?
Yes. Would you like a parting musical gift?
Yes.
What do we have?
Parting musical gift. What's it going to be?
Well, let's have a look. We had the Craftwork number jacked up.
What was the other one? It was the
Martin Dupont.
Let's go Martin Dupont.
Okay, one second, because I can't work this machine. Okay, well, we'll say goodbye to you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
We're going to play Just Because. By Martin Dupont. A very interesting album cover. Lots of red going on there. You should check it out on Spotify. Actually, people could follow our playlist, couldn't they? Because they're quite fascinating. And you do all the work. So thank you very much. Good luck with everything. We'll have you back on when you
made some more work.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Thank you.
It's like a dinosaur in the room. Hey, people, I hope you had that really loud. That was awesome. Just to let you know, Adrian's still here. Because he wants to hear this next track. We're kind of doing back-to-back here on ReCooper8 on 92.7 FM.
In a weird cleansing synchronicity,
I like it.
When I was doing the playlist, I thought, let's have a bit of Psychedelic Furs.
Definitely.
And Love My Way. And it's the same kind of era.
Did we have some reflections, like some historical reflections on this from the group?
Well, we thought it was in the Breakfast Club. It was actually in Valley Girl in 1982. But probably most people might know it from The Wedding Singer, which was it's quite a good film, actually, The Wedding Singer.
Adam Sandler?
Yeah. Probably the only Adam Sandler film that's worth watching.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
It's really good.
I've got to get
Drew
out
Barrymore. Drew Barrymore, and it's like a homage to the 80s.
Okay.
Very well done.
Awesome. So, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
And thank you for having me.
We'll tell you the rest of the playlist. You might never leave. So this is Love My Way, Psychedelic Furs. Yes. We'll see you. We're going to be joined by Joe Kempton afterwards, which is going to be wonderful, of Happy Belly Ferments.
Yes.
And you've got heaps of questions.
Yes.
Which is good because it was so last minute. Okay, here we go. Well, good evening. Welcome back. You are listening to ReCooper8 with me, Lucy Cooper, and the fabulous Katie Abbott. Say hello, Katie.
Hello.
Hello. And we've been talking to the wonderful Adrian Jackman, who was just top guest material, top guest. But we're joined by another top guest, Jo Kempton. Are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hi, Jo.
So good to hear your voice, Jo. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's a real pleasure to have you on, because your star is in the ascendancy, Jo, and we just like to catch you guys while you're running hot. And Jo, you are the brains behind Happy Belly Ferments. Am I right?
Well, I don't know about
yes,
brains.
Jo, say yes.
I'm the person behind Happy Belly Ferments.
Awesome. Yes. And now we've been seeing it, around in our local stores. But I understand we'll just cut to the major development first, which is that you are in Fresh Choice now.
I am. I'm pretty excited about that. Actually, it's so nice to have a local retailer. Goodness me, I went Wellington first, and then I went Auckland, and then I suddenly realised, crikey, I better be selling it in my hometown.
Nice one.
The drinks did really well at the Greytown Country Market, and so I knew that I needed a retailer here too. So it's all worked out really well. And I also have another big announcement.
Oh, goody.
Oh, hang on, breaking news.
The drinks have just been going into the Bolter Bar in Carterton as well. So,
perfect.
So they'll be there from this week as well.
That's fabulous. Congratulations. It's such good news, and it's been wonderful to see the your label and your name and your product becoming more and more visible, and to have this next push into a major retailer is really exciting for you. Maybe we should take the story right back, though.
Yeah, tell us how it all started, Jo.
Well, it all started about 4 years ago, actually. I started brewing kombucha on my kitchen bench in little 1 litre jars. And the reason that I started doing that was I have a dear son who was born with developmental delays and behavioural sort of difficulties, intellectual disability. And I was so lucky to find some amazing specialists who said, to help this boy be the best that he possibly can, we need to improve his health as much as we can using diet and various other things as well. And one of the big things was that they wanted us to focus on was gut health, getting his digestive system as healthy as it possibly could be. So you can poke probiotic pills down, and we certainly did that, but it was also suggested that we started looking at fermented foods and drinks. And so I thought, well, I can give that a go. How about I start making some kombucha? So I got out, I think I went on a Facebook group actually, and some wonderful kind person sent me a SCOBY, which is the colony of bacteria that does the fermentation process. And I got started from there. So, it started really small, just with family stuff.
That's amazing. But, now you're at scale. I mean, what was the first step for you of scaling it up?
Well, the first step was being given the idea, really. I used to share the drinks with my family and friends, and people started saying they liked it. What a surprise. So they said, look, Jo, this is the good stuff. You better start selling it. And up until that point, I hadn't considered that at all. But I had a little think about it, and I thought, well, I can do this. So I... in order to become a food or drinks producer, you have to have certain food safety standards and be approved by your local council and registered as a registered food production factory. So I decided to go through that process. So that took a bit of doing, as these things do. And I moved my 1 litre jar from my kitchen bench into my factory, which I was very lucky to have actually in my own home. So my laundry was the perfect, or my old laundry we'll call it, was the perfect spot for me to start brewing the kombucha and the water kefir. So I went from the 1 litre jar to 5 litre containers, and then to 10 litre containers, and then to 30 litre containers. And
I'm sensing a pattern.
Goes on and on to 60 litre containers. So now I'm still very small scale on, in the world scale, on the big scale of things, but from where I came from, I'm now brewing 180 litres of each drink at a time, and that's bottled up each week and sent off to various retailers. So started very small and just sort of tested it out on family and friends, and then went through the council required process, sold it at markets. Then I thought I needed some. The people at the markets asked me where I was selling it through, who I was selling it through, what retailers I had. So I thought I'd better do something about that. So that's when I approached More Wilsons in Wellington and the Wellington stores in Wairarapa, and I approached Farrow Fresh, which are a specialty supermarket chain up in Auckland, and they were pretty keen. So that sort of got me on my way, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the whole fermenting, like at the moment, it seems that everybody's into fermenting, and fermenting's like you're on the wave of a new way of eating. What's the science behind fermenting, and what makes it so important to have the product of fermentation?
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. Fermentation is the big. Well, people think it's the new big thing, but it's not.
Been around forever.
Never. But we're sort of refining it again. People are looking to get their health the best they possibly can, and the place to start is in our gut. That place that's totally hidden from view, that we often don't think about until it hurts or causes us some difficulties, is actually well worth looking after. And getting the beneficial probiotic bacteria into our gut does give great health benefits. So people find when they get the beneficial bacteria in that their immune system is strengthened. They don't get sick so often. That's certainly what my family found right at the very beginning. We started noticing that we were the family who didn't get sick in the winter.
Yeah.
While everyone else got those nasty winter bugs, we were the ones that were staying well. And that's an amazing thing, particularly when you have small children who tend to pick up everything and pass it on to mum and dad as well, and the rest of the family. So people notice their immune system improves. People also notice that their digestion improves. So a lot of my customers actually say that their tummies don't hurt anymore now that they're drinking the probiotic drinks. So getting those beneficial bacteria in really helps with digestion and the comfort of the gut as well, and the way it works. So these probiotics do seem to have amazing health benefits. And it's not just the drinks, it's your fermented foods as well, like your sauerkrauts and your kimchis. I don't think necessarily your wine will be putting the beneficial bacteria into, but that's another type of ferment.
True.
But my probiotic drinks are putting those good bacteria in.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, totally.
And when you were getting started and you had a bit of success along the way, can you tell us about the award that you picked up when you'd just started?
Oh, thank you for asking about that. I was the lucky recipient of the. Help me out.
Oh, it's rural women's.
Rural Women of New Zealand.
That's right.
Rural Women of New Zealand. Sorry.
That's all right.
Enterprising Rural Women Award last year, where I won the that award, which was an amazing experience. Going in for these types of awards, it really makes you think about your business and where you've come from and where you've got to and where you're aiming to go. So it's a great experience to enter these types of things along the way. Yeah. And it was an amazing experience also to win that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got a business mentor at the moment?
I do. I realised along the way that I'm just Jo, and I only have the experience and information that I have, and that in business, my business experience is actually rather limited. And it would be all too easy to just carry on day to day as I am, making my fermented drinks, making a little bit of money, and just carry on being small. But I thought, well, I'd like to experience a bit more than that. So I have employed someone who has a massive business experience and is helping me plan and move towards business expansion and towards my goals for my life and my business and how I want things to look. And I'm finding that really beneficial to bring someone else in who has a fresh pair of eyes, number one, and also has huge business experience, particularly with business change management and business expansion, and taking my business to the next level, which is what you're seeing now, because I'm now in expansion mode, so I'm pushing for those new retailers, which is really exciting times, and it all has to be managed, because I don't want to go out there and get a whole lot of new big retailers and not be able to meet the orders that come in. So it's just slow and careful expansion along the way.
Yeah. So you'd recommend it to other small business people starting out to get a mentor if they can?
Oh, I absolutely would. And I was very lucky to come across this person. It's important to get the right fit. People often talk about, can I get some free advice, that sort of thing. But I really believe that it's worth paying for experts to help you in all areas of life. Yeah. This is
good advice, Jo. That's why you won the Emerging Enterprising Rural Woman Award, you see. She knows what's up, knows what's what.
So yes, highly recommended in all areas of life to find experts who can help you achieve the goals and achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah. Has there also been from your business coach helping to clarify your ideas and because if you're I'm like a butterfly. I got lots and lots of ideas, and and sometimes I want to do them all, and then I realise I can't. I don't know how you operate, but has that person for you been really useful in just trimming your ideas down to the necessary elements so that you can get the maximum success? Has that been your experience?
It absolutely has, Lucy. I think you and I must have some similarities along the way. I love to live a varied life. I like to have a lot going on. Yeah. But when you have a lot going on, sometimes you're not focusing on the things that are actually important. So having a mentor has helped me clarify where I want to go and how I want to get there, and to actually clarify what's my most important focus for right now, which for me is my drinks business. And so rather than having a to-do list that is 6 miles long and absolutely overwhelming and jumping from different business idea to idea, I'm moving in a focused direction towards my goals, and that's not to say that I don't have my what I can now call my wonderful pet projects on the side as well, because I do like to have a variety of things going on.
Yeah. That's awesome. Can I ask some questions about, now you're going into expansion mode and you're hitting those big retailers. Can you give us an idea of what that process is like when you approach a retailer? Who do you talk to? Do they want to taste the product? How many people in the business in that retailer taste it? What do they demand from you in order to get your product in the store?
Well, most retailers, pretty much all retailers, have a process that they like you to go through in order to become a supplier. So it's really finding out what that process is. Sometimes it's a matter of approaching people personally. So, of course, I live in Greytown, Fresh Choice is in Greytown, and I know the people in there, so I walk through the door with my product. And then and ask for a meeting. So sometimes you have to be brave. Actually, you have to be brave a lot. Yeah. And then when you've got a food product, they will always ask you for your food safety certification. So that's your number one thing. And some retailers will also ask you for your insurance certificate, public liability type of stuff. And then, of course, you start talking about price. So I've carefully set my wholesale price to go into these retailers, and you have to look at if you're needing to transport it to various parts of the country, you need to look at that being built into your wholesale price as well. So it's a bit of a thought process there. And then when they accept it as an idea, they'll often ask for samples to be sent in for the management team or the buying team to have a taste, and things go from there. Sometimes it's a bit of a process that you need to follow up, but often people just come straight back and say, "Yep, that's absolutely great," and you come.
Wonderful. And is there much haggling over that wholesale price? Are you able to? Do they want to negotiate, and are you happy to negotiate, or is that part of the process?
I have set my price. My wholesale price is my wholesale price, so it goes in at that price.
Right.
If that doesn't work for a particular retailer, then it doesn't work for a particular retailer. I need to go and find another one where it does work.
Yeah, got it.
I haven't had any problems with pricing so far, but I thought very carefully about that, and the retailers respect that as well.
That's good.
So of course they have to make a certain margin on top of what they're buying it for, so they do their calculations too, and the supermarkets and retailers are very careful about that stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Jo, I know you're out and about doing tastings sometimes. It must be lovely to get direct customer feedback for your product. How have you found hitting the stores and talking to the people who are buying your lovely products?
Oh, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I started off my customer contact really started off at the Greytown Country Market, which I've done for 2 years, and even though I'm not I consider myself a shy person, but maybe I'm not anymore, because I was surprised to find that I actually absolutely loved it. I love talking to people about my products, and they were asking me questions. I wasn't just talking at them, I don't think. Although maybe I was, I don't know. But they seemed very interested. So along the way, being in the retail environment, it's also necessary to get into the stores and talk to the customers coming through and do some tastings in there. So the main ones that I've done so far is at the Moore Wilson's Fresh store down in Wellington.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the most amazing, mouth-watering store that I think I've ever seen.
And they put you by the front door, don't they? Did they? Or were you in the cheese section? I love that shop.
I just scan the front door spot as yet. But yes, I have been by the cheese section, and I have been by the but actually both of those sections were very good. So I set myself up with a little table and my little tasting cups and pour plenty of samples, and people stop by and have a little chat, and sometimes I get into little conversations, and with my product, it's actually really important to get people tasting it.
Yeah.
Because if you like it, you often buy it. But having a taste seems to be a really important part of the process. So I like to get in store as often as I can. I haven't managed to get into the Auckland stores yet, but I have sent samples up to them just to put out when they do that sampling time, and that's gone really, really well as also.
That's great. And is it anecdotal evidence, or is it true that fermented drinks help with hangovers or prevent hangovers? What's there? What's that? What's the science behind that?
It's absolute science.
It is science. Well, there you go.
You know. So there is a lot of anecdotal evidence, and I will admit that is from within my family.
Brilliant.
And I'll add in friends circle as well that drinking the fermented drinks. Let's just say if you're a thinking drinker, you'll be drinking your fermented drinks in between your wines or tequila shots, one of each along the way, and you will often find that you don't have those nasty effects the next day. The people who are not thinking drinkers, who get stuck in and are feeling the effects the next day, we've found that the fermented drinks actually perk people up no end.
That's nice.
And send the hangover on its way. So fact-based.
Another reason to buy.
All I want for Christmas is my fermented drinks, thanks. So how much, Jo, should people be drinking and a day, and how quickly might they see the beneficial health aspects of looking after their gut using these types of drinks?
Well, I say to people that quarter to half a glass a day, if they're drinking it as a health tonic, is plenty. But people actually do find that they really do enjoy them and often drink a lot more than that. But as a health tonic, if you're drinking it, if you want all your family to drink it and you want your bottle to last a little bit longer than half an hour, a quarter to half a glass a day for everyone is great.
Great.
And how long will it take? Well, I don't think there's any scientific evidence there, but with all of these things, you need to give it a bit of a try. So probably a month, but to be honest, quite a few of my customers say, as soon as I started drinking your drinks, Jo, my tummy felt better.
Oh, that's great.
And so those digestive benefits can come straight away.
Yeah. And I guess for anybody who's on medication or whose immunity is already compromised, any help you can give yourself, to create a foundation for great gut health has got to be a good thing, eh?
Absolutely. And if you can drink something that's tasty, have a little bit each day, then it's absolutely beneficial.
Could I ask, there's just been some lovely language that you've used as we've been chatting to you, Jo, about you used the word brave. You have to be brave. You said that you thought you were a shy person, but maybe you're not. I'm kind of getting the idea, and I don't know you particularly well, and I'd love to get to know you better, but after the show. But clearly, this has been a business journey, but I'm sensing that it's also been an incredible personal journey. Would you say that you look at the Jo Kempton from, pre-fermented drinks and think, wow, I'm the same woman, but gee, I've grown, I don't know. I don't want to be putting words in your mouth, but it just struck me that maybe that might be the case.
Well, I've got plenty more fermented probiotics in my gut, that's for sure. So I have to say that my health is probably the best it has been. I'm a person who makes bold statements. I don't get sick, and I think I put that down to I can't just say that it's the fermented drinks, can I? But a lot of it is. And yes, being in business is, it's a business journey as well. Starting your own business is a business journey as well as a personal journey. As I said, I started off without any thought of business, just to improve the health of my family. And when I think about it now, it gives me so much happiness to think that these beautiful drinks are out there helping other people's health. And yeah, so that's my way of sharing, I suppose, sharing with other people. But as you can imagine, when you're a small business person, you have to do everything yourself, apart from when I ask my wonderful Katie here to give me a hand. You're doing most of it yourself. Yeah. And we're not all experts in everything. And I certainly find myself not to be an expert in many, many things. And many of those things I actually have to do, like sales. It's not particularly easy. But with all of these things, you're brave the first time, and then maybe you have to be brave the second time, and then it starts getting a little bit easier. Yeah. You have a bit of success, maybe a bit of failure, and but you just keep going, putting one foot in front of the other. I have learned to ask for help. Goodness me. That was quite a big thing. And you know, often small business people, we have to do all our accounts and manage the money and the tax and the GST and all those types of things, and that's a learning process as well. But I actually see it all as really great fun. Yeah. And I think that makes it much easier than it would be if I decided it was a struggle.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Jo.
It is wonderful. Have you got any words of wisdom for anybody out there thinking of you know, they've got an idea and they think there could be a business in it? Any you know, that nugget that you think, oh, I wish I'd known that before I started. Anything you want to share?
Well, I really like to see people just getting in there and doing it. Yeah. If you've got an idea and you're passionate about it, and you really feel that it's a goer, then give it a go. I was very, very fortunate in that my product was very testable, so I could test my market very thoroughly before I started. With you know, sharing it with friends and family, then doing the markets, and then getting into retailers when I knew that I had a product that people enjoyed and also had a benefit. So I was very lucky there. Many businesses, you don't get that ability to test, so that's a lot more challenging, having to put that big investment in when you can't test your market first. So yes, I just encourage people to give it a go and do what makes them happy, and wish everyone the best success.
Oh, you're lovely.
Happy belly, happy. Jo, thank you so much for talking to us. It's been really quite insightful, and I think you're such a brave woman. I think all business people are brave, actually, and people who work for themselves. Really, it's a big step. So,
and it's lovely. We can hear the passion in you know, the way that you talk about this, and I expect when you do those tastings, it's easy to tell people about your product because you believe in it 100,000% and you're passionate about it, and it's a lovely thing to see. And by the way, your skin is fabulous. The viewers can't see this.
Probiotics.
Yeah, you've got this kind of glow, and I'm loving it. And I'm going to ferment up this rest of this year.
Well, pop along to Greytown Fresh Choice.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Jo. You've been a real star, and one day we'll have you. Why don't you come into the studio and we could do a tasting live on air?
Live, yeah.
Oh, that would be an absolute pleasure. Let's do that.
We'll give you more than 5 minutes notice next time.
Oh, good to talk to you too.
Oh, take care. Thank you so much, Jo. See you soon.
See you.
Okay, bye then.
Bye.
Oh, I think we need a bit of musical interlude, don't we?
I think we do. What a lovely lady.
Yeah. What about let's have Aloe Black. I need $1. That's what I need.
Oh, hang on. Where am I? I need $1. All right.
I need $1.
Oh, hang on. Oh, no, hang on. Well, I will get there in the end. I see what I'm doing. Okay.
Okay.
I think so. Okay. I need $1.
Yeah.
Aloe Black.
Hello.
Hello.
Like aloe the plant.
Inside the bottle, maybe it's inside the bottle. I had some good old buddies, names is whiskey and wine. Hey, hey. And for my good old buddies, I spent my last dime. Hey, hey. Now wine is good to me, you help me pass the time. And my good old buddy whiskey keep me warm in the sunshine. Hey, hey. Your mama may have blessed the child that's got his own. Myself down to the bone, and I swear on Grandpa's grave I'll be paid when I come home. Hey, hey. Well, I need $1, that's what I need. Hey, hey. Said I need $1, that's what I need. Hey, hey. Well, I need $1, that's what I need. And if I share with you my story, would you share your $1 with me? Come on, share your $1 with me. Go ahead, share your $1 with me. Come on, share your $1. Give me your $1. Share your $1 with me. Come on, share your $1 with me.
Another great track, Katie. Mm-hmm. Well done. Mm-hmm. That was good. That took me back.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. 92.7 FM, Arrow FM, your community access radio station. This is ReCooper8, and we've had a top hour and 45 minutes, and we've not got long. We've got 15 minutes to go. Actually, about 13, really. And we've got a lot to get through. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the dark sky. We've been a big fan of dark skies, haven't we? And we've had Lee Major in here, we had Mark G on the phone, and we spoke to Amadeo last month.
We did.
He was smashing. And I recently went along to the tasting of the Dark Sky Olives extra virgin olive oil. So they're launching a brand of olive oil to basically help support the Dark Sky Initiative, which is hopefully going to be a huge area of our sky above the Wairarapa is going to be preserved, and the plans are just racing ahead. The bottle itself, I'm going to show it to the camera.
It's a lovely bottle.
It is a lovely bottle.
Is that
It's one of Mark G's photographs. Yeah, and there are two labels
so it's a
up there.
celestial body.
Yeah, it has a celestial body. And the olive oil is very good. We went to the olive press in Greytown. Great. If you ever get invited to see the olive press in action, do go. It really is a wonderful experience. And we were very fortunate to have, I've forgotten his name unfortunately, but an Argentinian, I think it was like a master olive oil person, like super duper at it. Yeah. And he taught us how to taste olive oil. I'm very quickly going to tell you how to do it. Okay, so you're gonna put your olive oil, a small amount, maybe like a tablespoon maybe, into a small cup that you can fit into the palm of your hand. You're going to warm that up. So you're cupping the cup. Cup the cup and get the warmth of your hand to warm up the olive oil. Now that releases all sorts of wonderful things I can't remember.
Put it in a moon cup.
Could put it in a moon cup. Oh my God, you've levelled up. That's what you could christen your
moon cup.
Your moon cup with olive oil tasting. I love that idea. For anyone who doesn't know what a moon cup is, Google it. So you're going to warm your olive oil, and you're going to put your hand over the top of the cup, and so that you're kind of capturing all the aromas that have been released. And there's lots of technical language I've forgotten. So we're all doing this in the studio. So once you think you've got it to body temperature, then you're going to have a quick sniff. All right. And you're not looking for leather, chocolate, vanilla. You're looking for grass. And he was quite insistent upon that.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, he sounded like, these kind of wine people with all their crazy...
So there's not notes as you would look for in wine.
That's right. You're just looking for that herbaceous. Then you're going to put it into your mouth, and you're just going to hold it there in your mouth. Yeah. And then you're going to do this. You're going to kind of do a big cheesy grin and go... Suck the air in.
The air.
If you've got sensitive teeth, could be a bit awkward. But anyway, give it a go.
Well, it shouldn't hurt because it's body temperature.
That's true. But when you're getting the air through, sometimes that can hurt, can't it? And so you my air is going in the sides. Now you're going to do that until you feel like you sense bitterness on your tongue. So when the olive oil first goes in, it probably won't taste bitter. And then you'll get the air to it, and you'll suddenly get this bitter tang. At that point, you release the olive oil into your
swallow.
Swallow. And then you'll get the hit at the base of your throat, that kind of tang, that kind of... Now, and that's a perfectly natural sign. Apparently, it's an anti-inflammatory, and the person who discovered that olive oil was an anti-inflammatory was a scientist who was doing olive oil tasting and realised that tang at the base of the throat, that kind of bite, is very similar to when you swallow and might get stuck your ibuprofen.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out that ibuprofen and olive oil have the same thing in it.
Anti-inflammatory properties.
Yes. Isn't that incredible? What a wonderful story. So anyway, it really is quite an interesting experience doing olive oil tasting. It was wonderful to see the olives go at olive harvesting time. The olives were going into the machine. They were getting washed. They were coming out. They were getting munched. Then they were turning into oil. And the whole process is very... kind of compact and quite quick and very satisfying.
Aren't olives amazing?
Oh.
And olive leaf, of course, for antimicrobial, is it?
I think so. There's so many good things. And by the way, I spoke to Lee via email tonight, and we might become the first dark sky friendly radio show. Which is great because, as you know, businesses out there, you can become dark sky friendly. Just type in the words Dark Sky Reserve Wairarapa or get hold of Lee Major. His surname is spelled Mauger. He'll be more than happy to talk you through, but I would love to see lots of businesses being dark sky friendly.
And you might think, why would I want to do that? Well, it's going to be a massive, massive tourist adventure.
Absolutely. The economic growth potential Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you want to be on the first bus.
Ground floor,
Absolutely.
as we say in the ad business.
You want to be ground flooring this.
Ground
and
flooring
also it just the benefits of having good quality dark skies at night time, great for us all. So if you look after your gut health, you're going to look after your mental health. Oh, we've got it all going on. Katie, what's the next item?
Oh, let's do a quick shout out to the wonderful festival that's currently on at Carterton. It's the Heart of Winter Festival Showcase. Have you heard about this, Lucy?
I have heard. I've heard it's very popular.
It has been very popular. So over the weekend, they've had the star of the show is a skating rink and a snow dome, and also a night market, and that's the skating rink and the snow dome are going to be going on till Tuesday the 19th. The festival itself runs from the 15th of June to the 24th of June, and they've got loads of things on, a lot of stuff to do with Matariki and the solstice, of course.
Ah, of course.
There's a midwinter Dutch dinner at the Clareville Bakery.
That sounds like fun.
They're having 2 sittings. It's on the 20th of June, but I've just been reliably informed it's sold out, so you may have missed out, but that would be amazing. Thursday the 21st, they're doing a Legends of the Winter Solstice at Stonehenge, Aotearoa, which will be extremely interesting. That's a nighttime thing with the winter skies. And also they're doing a Winter Wonder sleepover at the library with teddy bears.
Oh, that sounds great. How do you get involved in that?
All of this stuff is go to Carterton District Council website, so cdc.gov.nz, and they've got a full rundown of all their events for the Heart of Winter Festival. On Saturday 23rd, they've got a night market and ethnic food night market and the Children's Lantern Parade in the Carrington Park.
Jeez, this sounds awesome.
And they've also got Chris Kirkland, who's live at the Bolter Bar on Friday the 22nd, and the whole town's got involved, and they've got displays, winter displays in the window, and another great event from Carterton. So go and check it out, the Heart of Winter Festival.
Definitely. Are you going along to any of those events yourself? Have you kind of booked yourself in for anything?
Well, we tried to get to this skating, but it was very popular. You had to book tickets. So I think that's been pretty popular. So.
I like the sound of the lantern thing.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Thank you. That sounds awesome. And wonderful to hear that things are selling out and super busy.
Yes.
And I think, people are itching to get out at the minute. I've suddenly realised on Friday night when I went round to pick something up from a friend, and then I stayed for a glass of wine, maybe 2, and I was thinking, wow, actually, this is what happens in winter. You don't do, you kind of hunker down, and then
they're saying there's no need to hibernate. I think it's a great initiative.
Absolutely,
and
I think it's
by
fabulous.
The sounds of it, they've been getting a really good response. So.
Good. Well done. Thank you.
Good.
We have another local event.
We do. Greytown Little Theatre. So this is the last production of in their current building, Greytown Little Theatre, and it's The Lion in Winter, which is directed by Lynn Bushell. Lion in Winter, do you know of it?
No, I do not. Do you know it?
Well, I had heard of it. It's a play depicting the personal and political conflicts of Henry II of England and his lovely wife Eleanor of Aquitaine and their children.
Oh, she was cool.
She was cool. She didn't take any... That word?
No, none of that.
Yeah. So this is on at the Greytown Little Theatre on opening night's June 20th, and it runs till the 22nd at 7:30, and they're doing a matinee at 2 p.m. on June the 23rd and the 24th, and then again, it's got a good long season, June 27th to the 30th at 7:30 p.m. Sorry.
Great. Any idea on the price of tickets?
Tickets are $20 and $10 for students, and they can be purchased from the Greytown Hotel, our wonderful sponsor.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, we love you. We love you. And get in there. Go and buy your ticket, and then sit down and have a pint or a glass of wine, and then go into the restaurant. And I'm sure if you did that kind of triple whammy, there'd be a prize, wouldn't there?
Maybe. I'm sure Tony and Ursula will sort you out.
Yeah, we do really appreciate your support, and indeed all the shows on Arrow FM and indeed most access radio stations around the country are supported by people like Ursula and Tony at the Greytown Hotel. So we are extremely grateful for keeping us on air, and it's been a smashing evening. I've really enjoyed myself.
Good.
And just great chat, and just nice to see you as well. Hi. Next month, well, we had some ideas on who we were going to invite, weren't we? So we must try and do that before the day of the next show. I think the next show's on the 17th of July. Have we got anything else we wanted to mention?
No, I've got... no, we've done the festival. We've done our little What's On.
Awesome, good stuff. Shall we say goodbye?
I think we should.
All right. Oh, okay. Thank you, everybody. You stay safe, stay warm, and if you have any ideas on people we can talk to on the show, come and find us on our Facebook page. We also have you can subscribe to our show on iTunes. I am trying to find other platforms to put the show as a podcast, and you can also find us on the Arrow FM website, arrowfm.co.nz. See you next month. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm a little made for playing. When now she's moving higher, so hot this girl on fire. She dance, shopping moves like the bonking temple wires. I grab her by the hand and ask her, girl, are you for real? She tell me, boy, you know exactly how I feel. When now she's moving higher, so hot this girl on fire. She dance, shopping moves like the bonking temple wires. She grabbed me by the hand and asked me, boy, are you for real? Well, girl, you know exactly how I really feel.